Let me look at your knees. Let me wipe it off, put a Band-Aid, tissue on it, tape, and do what I needed to do because I didn't understand the gifts that God had blessed me with, but I knew it was something different about me. And so even as a little girl, I knew that being a nurse was something that I was supposed to do. That it was that God placed that anointing on my heart to do that. It was in my heart as a child because a lot of people say I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, but for me, being a nurse, it meant having that intimate, close relationship with people, being able to touch, care, have that mind, body, and soul connection. So I didn't quite grasp it as a little girl, but I understood it was something always there. So in my mind, I was going to graduate from high school, become a nurse, and take care of people, and blah blah blah. Well, of course, our plan is not God's plan most of the time. We have our thoughts, and God's has His, of course. So in the interim, it did not happen like that. I went through high school, graduated from high school, and I got pregnant with my first child at 18 years old. As soon as I turned 18, I think I was pregnant then. So I had my daughter, which turned 30 this year on the 27th of July. I had her when I was 18. So although people kind of looked at me as, oh, my God, your life is ruined, you had a kid, I still had it in me. I still had the determination to do what God told me to do. But I didn't quite know how I was going to get there, but I was determined to do it. And so I started school. I had her. I stopped for a little while. I went back. A few years later, I met which would be my first husband. And as soon as I got back in school again, I was pregnant again. And so I had my son. And then even though I was pregnant, I was like, okay, God, you told me this. You showed me this. It's got to happen. I just believe it got to happen. But in the interim, I went through struggles. It was hard financially, but I still never gave up hope. And I never, never, never doubted what God had showed me, even as a little girl. And then when I decided, okay, now it's time, I was yet pregnant again. So it was like, okay, God, you told me that this is what I was going to do. What's happening here? And he like, you know what's happening here. This is what you do. This is what happened. But he still said my promises are what my word is my promise, and I would never lie. So I then decided, okay, when I had my youngest son, I went to school up until I was about to deliver him. And I hadn't made it into a nursing program yet, but I was finishing my prereqs. And then when I had him, I made a decision to wait until he went to school full time, which when he got to kindergarten, I said, okay, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to finish these prereqs, get a nursing program. So that's what I did. I went back to school, applied for the nursing program. I took the test. It was called the NET test at the time. I took it. I passed. And then they sent me a letter and said, you're on the wait list. So I didn't get in, but I was on the wait list. But I was like, I'm not giving up. I'm going to go sit up here, and I'm going to wait it out, and I'm going to get in like everybody else. But just so happened we went to the orientation the first day. That was the day that we had the blackout in Detroit, in the city of Detroit, all over the place. So they canceled the second day of the orientation because, we didn't have any lights. So they postponed it till the next week. So when I went back the next week, some people that was there the first week, they didn't return. So I was able to get my name pulled, and I got a slot in a nursing program. So that was my blessing. So I'm like, okay, I'm on my way. I got in. So I got in, went through the program, struggled through the first class because I struggled all the way through school, not because I didn't have it in me, but I just totally believed that God needed to build some more humility up for me so that when I got through what I was going through and I made it to the other side, I can be able to help other people get through theirs or push them harder so that they won't have to go through everything that I went through. So I passed my first class. Got in my second class. It was a 9-credit class. It was very difficult. I failed. So with that being said, they put me on probation, academic probation, financial aid probation. I had to go home and tell my children that I had failed the class. They was like, what you get? They were little kids. I said, oh, my God, I failed, and I cried like a baby. But my kids said, that's all right, Mom. You will do it. You can do this. And I was embarrassed to tell them, but they was always my support. They was my encouragement, but they encouraged me verbally then. They was like, you can do it. It's okay. You going to do it. So I finally struggled through the program, and then I failed another class, and they just totally kicked me out the program. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And the dean of nursing told me when I went to try to plead my case, she was like, oh, you'll never get in. And I said, oh, but I will, because God showed me walking across that stage. And I started writing letters to the school, setting up appeals and everything else. And the school acknowledged my appeal and let me back in. So I found I had to get and go to remediation class. I had to do everything, but I understood that this was my journey, and although it was hard, I cried, I still did not give up. And then I finally graduated and made it through the program. Now it's time to take my boards. Well, guess what? I failed my boards. And I was like, oh my God, really, Jesus? Like, this is some tests going on here. I failed my boards. I was devastated. And then I said, okay, I'm going to take them again. Studied, did whatever, took them again, failed again. I was like, that's it. But I remember something that Dr. Crystal Easton said to me, and I didn't quite grasp it till the end, to the last time I took the test. She said, you have to isolate yourself. So the first time, I kind of isolated myself, but not all the way. I still had people there around me. The second time, I kept, which was now he's now my husband. He was my boyfriend. I kept him around. I was like, oh no, he's not a hindrance. I didn't pass. That third time, I went into total isolation. Didn't talk to nobody. The couple of days before my test, my dad watched my kids for me, took them out the house. The day before, I didn't study. I just sat there and listened to music, went, prayed, and took that test, and I passed. Because I knew that God was like, thank you, God. Like, I know that this is what I'm supposed to do. And I have to go through the story because this is part of the journey. So I was working for a facility, and because I failed my boards, they was giving me a hard time about giving me a position, even though I had worked there for so many years in other capacities. But I just was like, you know what, I'm not going to worry about it. But somebody heard them. That's how God works. He will put people in your path, and they will bless you, and they don't even know you. And a lady heard them talking about me. It was like, oh, she failed her boards. She got an attitude problem, but they had dogged me out so bad, I was just really upset. And she called me and interviewed me. Well, we can call it an interview, but she was like, I heard what happened to you, and God told me that I needed to talk to you and hire you. And she just hired me on just having God in her life and understand that we need to stick together. So she was definitely a blessing to me. She mentored me. Her name is Melissa. Her name is Melissa Beal, and she was the first mentor that I had in nursing, and she just kind of helped me understand that my journey was mine, but it was for other people as well. So that's when I decided I worked with the veteran population, and I just really was honored to care for them because they served their country, and although they had all these issues, I understood why. Because while we were sleeping comfortably, they were sleeping in holes and staying woke and making sure that we lived to see another day. So it just kind of gave me a little bit more humility. And God just instilled in me that he said, you need to bless people. Don't worry about the money. Don't worry about what it's going to bring you. That's going to come, but you really need to be a blessing to people. And one thing that I learned in being in nursing all these years and just working in different facilities is that the need is great for people, minority people, underserved, underprivileged people, that they don't get the teaching that they need because they might lack resources, or they don't have the money to get their medications, so they have to make a decision. Am I going to eat, or am I going to get my blood pressure medicine? And of course you're going to eat, because you don't understand that your heart is blocking up. You just know that you've been functioning like this so long, and you're like, well, I can eat, and I'll worry about the blood pressure later. But unless you understand what you're doing to your body, then you'll do better. So that's where I came in, and that's where I just decided that way back then that I knew I was supposed to individually start something to help people. So that's when D. Wallace Health Promotion and Wellness came about. So that's the name of my business, D. Wallace Health Promotion and Wellness, LLC. It's a resource and a wellness company. And what it does is when people get out the hospital or they just need extra stuff, it's like I'm that company that can help teach them how to maintain and, give them the resources that they need, whether it be social work or a dietitian, things like that to help them better manage with the money that they have, because when we know better, we do better. So when we have lack of education and we don't understand that we do need to monitor our blood pressure, we do need to watch what we eat. We can't just take the medicine and then eat what we want, because that's counteracting each other. So it's really just like you're just wasting your time when you don't do everything appropriately. So that's the premise of my business. It's like case management, health coaching, and it's also for the families too, to help them to better understand, to better educate them so they can do better, so they can eat better. So when they at home, they don't fry themselves some chicken, but if they bake their loved ones some chicken, they bake themselves some chicken, and they all eat right. You know what I'm saying? And they all eat the same things, and then it becomes a lifestyle as opposed to a punishment or a diet, but a lifestyle. So I want people to live longer and be healthier and just not be walking around here sick and don't know it. And I just want to make sure that it's my job. God put me here to help others. And I always knew that my hands served a special purpose. I was left-handed, so I thought that was odd. No, that left hand has helped to serve people and heal people and touch people. And I do have the gift of healing, where I could just calm people down with a touch and just talk to them and get them what they need. So that's what made me do what I do. I guess I don't know if y'all ever heard of that movie Brown Sugar, and they talk about when did you fall in love with hip hop? Well, when did I fall in love with nursing and health and wellness? When I was a little girl. So God instilled it into me. So I do have a heart for people, and I love what I do. It's not for money, but if I can help somebody and they can say, you did this for me, now I manage my blood sugar better, or I do this better, then that does my heart well. And I understand that I have done what God has called me to do.
Now,
I'm going to you know what, Coach T, I'm sorry. You're
okay.
In that for a second, right?
Okay, but I got next.
You got next? Okay.
I got next.
Okay. See, Dr. D, it's really something when you have a line of people that want to ask you some questions, right? So,
okay.
The baby sister of the show, Nurse Wallace, you know what I want to kind of take you back is something that you said about Dr. Crystal. See, sometimes we never know when we one day become or be in a journey where we're going to need some self-care or somebody to take care of us. Dr. Crystal didn't know that day that she had a nurse that was about to nurse her. So, Dr. Crystal, I'm messing with you.
I'm listening.
I'm messing with you, Dr. Crystal. So, but Dr. D,
really,
I guess we're going to call you that because that's it. Huh?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
cut you off. Dr. D, I guess we're going to say that because that is so fitting for you. Can you tell us, it seems like the enemy always tries to trap us at some point, and it's amazing how every time you were going back to school, something emerged, a beautiful pregnancy, right?
Yes.
But it's one thing about your title that I am so drawn to. You received your master's in clinical nurse leader, right? Is that the name of it?
Yes, it's an advanced nursing degree. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, an advanced nursing degree. But think about the ending of your title, leader.
Yes.
You became a leader to so many, even to your children who didn't want mom to give up. And then for those who tried to stand in the background and tried to see what it is that you're doing, you ended up being a leader to others. You walked this journey in humility and grace. And I'm just so touched by your story because you said another thing, too, that you have been on the job a number of years, and because of what happened with this testing, someone pulled you by the hand and said, wait a minute, you know what, you good for this. You know, I want you in this position. And like you said, you never know who's going to come and take you by the hand and say, I see greatness in you.
Yes.
And thank you for that affirmation because I needed to even hear that tonight.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
So, Coach T, it's your turn.
Oh, thank you. I'm so honored. So, Dr. Wallace, Nurse Wallace, Leader Wallace, in talking to Dr. Crystal prior to the show, one of the things that I talked about is, so I'm a student, And just Sunday, I finished up a paper that was I talked about the strong black woman schema and ideology. And one of the research articles that I read talked about trauma, binge eating, and the strong black woman. Now, normally when I hear binge eating, I don't. A black woman, a minority woman, does not come to mind. That's not the picture that I get.
Right.
So that right there showed me that I was wrong in what I thought about binge eating and how it affects other ethnicities outside of the African American woman. But so often it's part of our culture where eating healthy and eating right and selecting good, healthy foods, it's just not a part of our culture. So you said that part of your business is helping people stay well. How do you address that? How do you handle that? Because I just had a conversation with somebody just the other day, and they identified a specific market that sells healthy produce and stuff like that as being too expensive. And I'm like, why do you see healthy food as being too expensive to put into your body? So how do you combat that?
Well, it's absolutely true that when to eat healthy is very expensive. I think that is purposely done because it affects the inner city. You know what I'm saying? It affects the minorities. And so my job is to reverse the thinking, not so much because I know you can get what you can get with your money, but it's about reversing the thinking, because I know it is about. I remember my grandparents and my great aunts and everybody, they was frying chicken and lard and stuff like that, and that stuff was good, and they all kind of lived a long time. But at the same time, when you think back, they wasn't putting all these hormones and trying to hurry up and grow these chickens and whatever really, really fast and putting stuff on plants to make them grow so that they can sell them. So I guess for me, that's where I come in and try to help give people like social resources and get social work involved, like and dietitians to kind of help put a meal plan together with the finances that they do have, to kind of help them combat the fact that they don't have a lot of money to spend on a lot of things, but you still can. It's a way to do it. It's about educating and teaching people and flipping the thinking about, because like my husband now, he has coronary artery disease, he has hypertension, different things like that. He had to have a stent placed. He almost left here a couple of years ago because he had 90% blockage. But he would just take salt and just put it on his food before he even tasted it. And I'm like, why are you doing that? Out of habit. And I was like, either you want to – see, I'm a realist, and I believe that when you sugarcoat things too much, people don't get the message. So I was like really clear. Do you want to live or do you want to die? Because if you want to die, you keep doing what you're doing. That's exactly what's going to happen, and you're not going to make it. Life ain't how it used to be. They don't make it how they used to make it. So you have to go with the times. Your body is not equipped for that kind of stuff. I'm blessed where I don't have any hypertension. I don't have any cholesterol problems or blood sugar problems, but I do have diabetes in my family. I do. My father has high cholesterol. My brother, hypertension. So it runs in my family. It's generational. So sometimes you can't avoid it, but you can help and kind of have a defense towards it, like losing weight and exercise and just things that don't cost. You ain't got to go to a gym. You can walk around the track. You can walk around the block. It's things that you can do to combat it. So that's where I say I come in to kind of help. And it's not, like I said, it's not about charging a whole bunch of money because, again, people that do have insurance, they only pay for so much. And so the people just go as far as the insurance will take them. And then some people go to the doctor, they'll get a blood pressure pill, and they say the doctor said take it. do you check your blood pressure every day? Like Dr. Easton said, I knew that she was wrestling with high blood pressure, and I said, I bought her a blood pressure cuff, and that day I was somewhere else, and I turned around and I went home, and I got that blood pressure cuff before I walked into church. I didn't know why I was doing that, but the Spirit, somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, go get that blood pressure cuff. So when I get to church and she complaining about a headache, and I was like, well, let me take this out the box. And I checked her blood pressure, and her blood pressure was so high that I thought the machine was broke. That's no lie. So I put the blood pressure cuff on my wrist to see, and it was a normal blood pressure. I was like, oh, my God, you need to go to the emergency room. Because so sometimes people, like, again, the doctors are the doctors, and they only going to do so much because they only have so much time. The insurance companies are really basically practicing medicine. So it's up to us to be wise, but if we don't know what we're being wise with, we won't be able to do it. So if you're taking a blood pressure medicine, you need to make sure that it's working for you. You need to make sure that it's the right one. They have different kinds. They have beta blockers and calcium channel blockers and things like that. And they got water pills and diuretics and things like that. So things that work for African Americans, I know for a fact that some medications don't work well with us. It's just a known fact. It's written. It's been proven over and over again. My husband was taking lisinopril, which is an ACE inhibitor. I know I'm talking. I don't mean to talk over people's heads, but that's that people need to understand. It was an ACE inhibitor, and he took that pill for like 4 years, and he had a severe allergic reaction to it, and he had angioedema, and his lips swelled up, and his throat could have closed up, and he was in the hospital for 3 days. So his body.
Let me just say something about that, because I was given that last year. I took it exactly 1 week. 1 week. The lisinopril. 1 week. For borderline high blood pressure, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Within that 1 week, I passed out, hit the floor. I was like, you know what? No. I have read all of these different articles about how African Americans were having these bad reactions to that particular drug. I was like, oh no, this won't happen to me. And I left that stuff alone.
Yeah, and I asked people just based on their symptoms, because like I said, one thing about me, I'm not bragging or anything, but when God gives you a gift, he gives it to you so you can understand things a little better. When I was talking to, if you don't mind me saying, Dr. Crystal, I was talking to her one day and she was coughing. I said, why are you coughing so much? I said, are you taking lisinopril? And she was like, yeah. I was like, stop taking it, because that's a major side effect of it too. She had to cough.
I know, and I had to cough for about, I was coughing, and I was coughing to the point I was scared, because I was like, I ain't got no cold. What in the world? So I just so happened when she said that, and I went to the doctor. My regular doctor wasn't there, and I had an older doctor, and he immediately took me off of it. And so what I want to say is that if it was not for her and her gift, honestly, I probably would have never taken my blood pressure as serious as I do. And I just need to report that I took my blood pressure the other day, and it was 124/78.
Amen.
And I just thank God, because what I learned was I had become, what I was feeling had became natural. So I didn't even realize that my blood pressure was out of whack. So once it got on track, I was like, damn, I was like, oh my God, I really didn't feel well, because the night before, when she came to take my blood pressure, what she didn't know, the night before I was laying in the bed and I was having sharp pains in the back of my head. And my daughter was at the end of the bed, was like, Mommy, what's wrong? And I just was so tired. And once she said that, I was like, oh my God, I was having sharp pains in the back of my head, but I thought I was just tired. And so now I'm more alert and aware, because I listen, to the things that she say about it, and not just hypertension, but period. And so, I made a lot of changes in my diet because I want to live.
But let me ask you this though. I think one of the things that I know that genetics plays a strong role in wealth, but by the same token, it appears as though culture plays just as much a bigger role. I mean, like, say, for example, some Asian cultures, they don't have big problems with obesity. You know what I'm saying? The United States is filled with fat, overweight people.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, the reason why, if I can interject, is because it's cheaper to go buy a 4 for $4 from Wendy's than it is to buy a salad. So if you're getting lettuce, tomatoes, and cucumbers, and that costs $10, but you can get a hamburger, French fries, nuggets, and a pop for $4, what you gonna get?
You're going to get right.
So that's why the United States is they're unhealthy. But I told you that when I go back to what I said about that's purposely done, because they make it like that. And to me, it's up to, in my head, it's up to me as a part of being an African American black woman, black queen, is to help keep my kings and queens here a long time. So I have the knowledge base, and I'm willing to share it. And I understand that they make it harder. And another thing, I want to add a transportation component to my business as well. So I can transport people back and forth to their appointments, to the grocery store, to pick up their whatever, go to the regular store, whatever they need to do to just maintain, especially when you start getting older and you can't do a lot of things for yourself. And it's a different type of society. The villages don't exist anymore. So it's people just kind of every man for himself, God for us all. So we got to come back as a people and learn how to be there for each other and help our neighbors and give rides and things like that. So it is about changing their mind. People think because they've been walking around for 20 years with high blood pressure and eating anything and not taking any medication that they can continue to do it. No, your body has been compensating. I tell people that. Remember that word, compensate. Your body has been compensating so many years. Then after a while, after you do so much too fast, it starts to shut down and it won't work. So you start getting blockage, and then your heart don't work. If your heart don't work, ain't nothing working. If you can't breathe,
well,
ain't nothing going to happen.
Let me tell you something, Dr. D. My husband grew up in a household of it was like 10 of them of his siblings, and my husband had a massive heart attack in his 40s. I want to say like 8 years ago, and my life changed forever. So during the course of his 20s and his 30s, I guess he had been having mild heart attacks, didn't know it. He was just having chest pains consistently. He loved fried chicken. So his parents will always cook everything in grease, oil, or whatever. So because he loved fried chicken, he was a soul food person at heart. When he had his massive heart attack, I never forget he was looking at the American Heart Association book, and I heard something in the middle of the night, and I got up. It was 2 a.m., and I said, well, what are you doing? And he said, I think I'm having a heart attack. And I said, well, the first symptoms, Dr. D, I was thinking of the left side. How are you feeling? In my pajamas, and my daughter was very young. She was, I think she was 7 how was she? She's 17. She was, it was 8 years ago, so she was 9. I threw her in the car. I drove all the way to St. Joseph in Ypsilanti, going like 100 miles per hour. And when I got him in that emergency room, they told me if I didn't get him there in time enough, he would have passed away. What I learned during that experience was they opened up his heart valves, and they did what's called angioplasty. And the doctor told me, Nurse Wallace, that going forward, my life, the word super will be added to everything I do. I became a super wife, a super mom, a super woman, a super employee, a super friend, a super worker, a super Christian, a super everything that I did. And it started to play after he started losing all his weight so fast because I threw out everything in the cabinets and replaced it with everything that said American Heart Association. Took out the salt and replaced it with Mrs. Dash. Learned how to cook with cilantro and herbs. So I'm saying all this to say is that you're so right when you talk about wellness. Sometimes we're walking around as ticking bombs and we don't even know it.
Yes, you're right. Most times we are.
Most times we are, and that was an experience for me. Even today, he's very very watchful of the things that he eats. He's on stimulants, blood thinners. He's on blood pressure medication, and he has to keep that nitroglycerin with him every day.
I know.
Now,
I told
what
my
does
husband,
that do? Exactly.
Well, can I ask Dr. Wallace, because I listened to her, the things that she do at work or just her experiences with people, and I think one of the areas that she's gifted in, and I know when I go to the doctor, I've gone to the hospital, if the nurse or the doctor or whoever is not warm or nurturing, or I get a sense that they care, then I tend to not be as comfortable, or I may not ask as many, So I think one of the components, too, that she's gifted at, and I'm just sharing from what I hear, what I've experienced, even prior to her becoming a nurse, I remember I wanted to go out of town, and my mom was not feeling well, and she was naturally well, I'll go check on her, and I was like, okay, and I didn't give it a second thought, but that was natural for her. Like me, that's not my natural gift because I don't know what to do, and I have some anxiety about it. But if you going crazy mentally, then I could probably talk to you. But she has that gift where that nurturing part that I think families, and particularly our people, have to have in order for us to even listen to what they're telling us to do.
Yeah.
Because we already have trust issues, and so if you treat me any kind of way, then I'm not going to really get what the doctor is telling me to do, or I'm not going to ask questions, or I'm not going to feel safe. So if you could just share a little bit about how important that is, and if that we have the right to, if we don't feel good about a particular doctor or nurse, that we have the right to request somebody else or do something else. What is our rights in that area?
Of course you do, because, I work for a specific big healthcare system temporarily, because that's only temporarily. I'm about to transition all the way into my business. I'm stepping out on faith. But where I work, what I do is what I went to school for, a clinical nurse leader. And what I have the opportunity to do is round on the patients, because I don't take care of patients, but I get to round on as part of my job, because I want to make sure if we're doing what we need to do quality-wise and patient satisfaction-wise. But I always talk to the people, and when I talk to them, one of the questions that I ask them is that, are you able to ask the doctor questions or the nurse and not feel rushed? Do you feel like they're listening to you? Do you feel like, we doing what we need to do? And if some people be like, well, no, I didn't get a chance to, okay, hold that thought. I go grab the doctor. I said I'll go and I'll come back with them. I go grab the doctor. I know you're busy, but come on back. This is your patient. They don't quite have an understanding of what you said to them. You're about to do a major procedure, and they need to have the appropriate understanding. So I will bring the doctor back in there, and I tell the patients, ask what you want to ask. You can do that. That is your right. You are in control, and you are the leader of your care, of your health. We're here to offer our medical and professional expertise, but you're overall the person that's in control and the head of your body. So if you don't want to do something and we give you all the risk and the benefits and you still don't want to do it, then that's fine too. But they need to understand that it makes a difference when you talking to somebody and they talking to you and not at you. You know what I'm saying? So I tell the interns, you need to learn. I know you here to do this and that, but you got to learn, especially in July, we get new doctors. They go from medical students to becoming doctors. And I always tell them, listen, your bedside manner goes a long way. Learn you ain't got to sit there all day, but let people know that you care. Make them feel like it. They already in the hospital. They come in here because their stomach hurt, but they find out that they got a mass in it and they needed to get it biopsied because they may have cancer. You know what I'm saying? So it's all these scary things that's happening on top of not knowing and uncertainty. So they need us to be supporters. They need to be able to trust us with their care. So it's okay to say, listen, I need to talk to another doctor because this one ain't doing it. Where's the attending? Where's the senior? I tell them all the time, even with the nurses. I advocate sometimes for the patients against the nurses. If I don't feel that they're doing due diligence for that patient or monitoring their pain good or really pressing the doctor for something that they need, then I advocate against the nurses for the patient because I'm overall there for them. And it does make a difference when you feel comfortable with somebody. Like, for instance, it was a patient. My office is all the way at the end of the hall, so I was in my office, and it's right next to 2 patient rooms or whatever. and I heard this lady, she was yelling, going crazy. And I was doing something on the phone, so I said, let me go out here and see what's going on. So I get in there, the doctor in there, the nurses. It was like an obese African-American lady. And I swear she was going crazy, like, because she felt like they weren't treating her appropriately, which maybe they were, maybe they weren't. But I was like, you know what, so I went in there, I walked in the room, I walked past everybody. Nobody could calm her down. I walked up to her, I politely touched her hand softly, and I said, how you doing? My name is Dion. What's your name? And she immediately just started calming down, and she told me what her name was. I said, you do have rights, and I'm going to make sure that they never get violated. What is it that you need from me? I just started talking to her, and she immediately just calmed down. And everybody in the room looked at each other like they couldn't believe what had happened. But because they was in there, the energy was so terrible, you know what I'm saying? And I just kind of went in there because that's what I do, and I make sure that people understand that they are safe when I'm around and that they're going to get the care that they deserve and desire. And that became my buddy. The whole time I was there, she called my name all day. But I appreciate that, and that makes me feel good when I know that God placed me somewhere to do something and I have those type of results. Because being in an environment that I'm in and being in a role that I'm in, I am the minority, so to speak. It's not nobody that look like me. I'm the only person in that facility that do what I do. And so people had a hard time when I came in there. And I was disrespected because I was a black woman. And they are mad because I'm educated. And I'm dealing with a bunch of women who don't look like me, who don't appreciate it, and they try to do things. So I am a very direct person. I understand that God has dealt with me in many ways, but you're not going to run over me because I know what my role is. But I also understand that God put me there for a time such as this. He told me to get what I need and go, and that's why I'm getting what I need and I'm going. But I also keep in contact with some of the people because they rotate back in and out because I know that they're going to be some of my clients when I go out there full time anyway. So you do have that right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to babble along, but I'm passionate about it.
No. I mean, so you really empower people in a healthcare setting because it's important. Number one, when you don't have the education, oftentimes people look at doctors and nurses like on this pedestal up there, up there close to God almost. And it's like they already feel disempowered. And then when people are using all these big medical terms and they're kind of like talking, like you said, talking at them rather than talking to them, it strips them of their power. So they're not going to feel empowered to say, excuse me, I want a second opinion, or don't you touch me, I want to talk to, the nurse in charge or the chief of staff or, somebody else. Yeah. So that's important.
Yes, so so that's definitely important for me, and I love who I am. I love how I look. I love my people. I love everybody, but I feel that I have a special connection to make sure, again, like that we live longer, and until we change our minds, we won't. But it's possible. So that's why I do what I do, and I'm gonna continue to do what I do till I leave here. So if I help people, I have nursing students that I mentor and encourage them and push them along the way and push them out the nest when they're ready and just let them know they can do it. And even though it's difficult, they're trying to have families and husbands. I said, listen, I went to school with 3 kids, a husband, and I had to work full time because I couldn't quit my job. And that was the hardest thing to do. But I had to do what I had to do. But I knew what God had empowered me and called me to do. So although the journey was tedious, it was well worth it. So
not only was it well worth it, you have went over and beyond a perseverance. You are a walking mentor to so many people. I'm sure if you hear someone say, oh, Nurse Wallace, I can't do it, you're going to sit them down and say, yes, you can.
Yes. Yes, I do.
I went through. You have been faced with some obstacles, and you are still yet standing, still yet mentoring, still yet showing others that they too can be great. They too can be their best selves. So, what I'm curious about, Nurse Wallace, I need some self-help. So, can I come see you so you can help me get back to my wellness, back
Absolutely,
to me?
I'll come to you. I can come to you. We'll talk.
Tell us, how can we find you?
Well, actually, I'm a walking office right now. So
okay.
I have my business cards and stuff. But I'll come to you. I come to the people now. I go to their house wherever they need me to meet them at. I do groups. I do businesses. I help people to teach their staff. Whatever I need to do, I do it. So
okay, I have a group of ladies who are returning citizens from prison. They've been incarcerated for each one of them over 30 years. So that's one of the components that we're going to start talking to them about is health and well-being. So, yes, I definitely will be contacting you so you can come and speak to my ladies.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Yes.
So is there anything, I know with Black women in particularly, they talk a lot about heart disease or, with our hypertension and stroke. Are there some specific things physically that we should be aware of? I know things happen differently for different people, but if there's some settings or a blood pressure stat that will tell us in the audience, hey, go to the hospital or you need to check that out, is because what we have a habit of doing as women, because we're so busy and we're taking care of everybody, we will ignore.
Absolutely.
And next thing you know, we out of here. So is there some key things that we should pay attention to as women, and particularly Black women?
Yes. For one, like you said, you had a headache, but yours was, and that happens a lot. And a lot of times when that happens, your blood pressure is up just through the roof. But like when it comes to like symptoms of having a heart attack, women they might not have that left arm hurt. They might have a stomach ache. Men may even have a stomach ache. It's just different signs. They might have a backache that's just nagging that won't go away. You know what I'm saying? There's different things that just pay attention. Your body is going to tell you. If it's mild, your body going to start giving you small indicators that it's changing, that something is occurring. You can't ignore it. You shouldn't ignore it. Because sometimes, like you said, we'll say, oh, it's nothing. I got gas. You think you have gas. You could be having a massive heart attack just thinking that you have gas. That's why when you go to the emergency room and you will go in there or go to the doctor and you will say your stomach hurt and they rule out whether you're having a heart attack, and it's labs and stuff they can draw to see what's going on, your troponin levels and things like that. So if it's just something that and a lot of times when we get signals and we just don't feel right, probably because we're not right. And I say address it. Call your doctor and say, this is what's going on with me. What do you want me to do? What do you think I should do? This is not normal. I don't feel right. And a lot of times when you call these doctor's offices, too, that's another thing. They'll be like, oh, you'll call for it because you don't feel good. Oh, we don't have any openings till 3 weeks. So you want me to just have a heart attack or a stroke and wait 3 weeks? When I'm telling you that something is going on, then you need to go to urgent care. You need to go one step further. Don't sit up there and wait 3 weeks until they have an available appointment for somebody that they will give to somebody that's well. You're sick, you're having symptoms, address them. Don't ignore them. And going back to the very, 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 very beginning, when you're talking about the eating part, we are emotional eaters. I'm an emotional eater. So I work hard at not doing it. Like if I get stressed out, then give me some chocolate, give me some potato chips. I'm trying to veer away from that. So I try to have nothing in my house, but sometimes I'll take a snack. But we are emotional eaters, so we do that. So we might not binge on it, but we eat some of the wrong stuff because it's comfort. Yeah, it makes us feel better. So we have to be careful with that. Huh?
Amen. Amen. I know there are some things you talk about, that comfort food. I know there are some things I need to get ahead of and get in control, because just recently I've been having issues with my hip. And I'm starting to walk a little funny, and I can't sleep on one side, and I'm starting to self-diagnose myself, Nurse Wallace. Maybe it could be arthritis or something of that nature. And you know what I thought of? I said to myself, if you're somewhat gaining weight, you're putting weight on those extra joints.
Absolutely.
Your knees is going to hurt, right? Your ankles may hurt or whatever. So I realized that I need to make some changes inside of myself in order for me to have some wellness.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is, and what you're saying is true, but you still want to get yourself checked out to make sure that that's all it is. If it's just about losing weight or changing, you can do that, but you still need to know. So self-diagnosing is, And I swear everybody called me. I'd be like, go to the emergency room. You got chest pain. What you calling me for? But they call me for everything, so I get that. But they do. I'd be like, you about to die. Go call 911. So, I mean, I'm laughing about it, but it's true. But that's what they look. They look to who they feel they can trust, and they figure I am, and they know that I'm really passionate about what I do. I go say that. People call me, my so-and-so, my friend having a surgery. Can you go up there and check and sit with their family? Sure, no problem. I can be support, help you calm down. That's just who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just live it, I breathe it. It's all I think about. And this business was birthed in me years ago, and I just was trying to, when I went along the way and I kept failing and passing and failing, but I just kept saying, I know what God showed me. I know what he showed me. And this ain't it, so I got to move forward. You know what I'm saying? Stepping out on faith. And I left the first job that I had when I was a nurse, I left that facility after 18 years. I stepped out on total faith, quit my job. My husband said, I'll support it. I know you're going to school. That's when I was going for this degree that I have now. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I ended up where I am now. And it taught me so much more, and it gave me that last component that I needed for my business, that last piece of the puzzle. So
now let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question. We're running out of time, but I really, when you said people come to you all the time and you have this passion, my question to you is how do you maintain work-life balance so that you're still staying healthy yourself while you're providing care to others?
Sometimes I really have to. Sometimes I don't maintain very well, and I get burnt out, so to speak, because I be pouring out. So I have to kind of stop and say, wait a minute. If you can't help yourself, you're no good to anybody else. So I've learned to take time for myself. By me being a mother so early in my life, I've always been raising kids or been married to somebody, or I was a daughter and a sister. You know what I'm saying? So I had to get some balance and know that it's okay to take time for me. So that's what I do. Sometimes I take time for me. I like to go to the mall. I like to shop. That's just what I do. It's therapy for me. I go shopping by myself, and I do what I do. I maintain, try to maintain when I feel like I'm getting, because I have migraines, and I can tell when I'm stressed because my migraines are too frequent. So I'm like, okay, I got to pull it together. You know what I'm saying? So I try to listen to my body, and I try not to get to that point. But when I do, I just stop, basically like stop, drop, and roll like in the fire, and I chill out, and I put me first. Because I can't be no good to anybody else if I can't take care of me.
That's good. Yes. And it's important that, like you said, that you learn to listen to yourself and listen to your body.
Absolutely. And
one of the things
it's an art. You just got to learn how to do it and pay attention. People don't because they so used to functioning on like I said, they so used to their body functioning a certain kind of way, but your body will give out on you after a while if you don't take care of it. It will only compensate for so long. So
that's it.
Wow.
That's it right there.
I'm thinking we're gonna have Dr. Wallace back. We health is wealth, and hearing more about our business, but definitely just teaching us and the audience on things we need to do to stay alive, and not just stay alive, but thrive. I don't want to just be surviving barely on canes and walking sideways. I want to be vibrant. I want to have energy, and I want to live and not die to declare the word of the Lord.
That's it. Dr. Wallace, Nurse Wallace from the Brushstroke Felicia, I want to say thank you so very much for your enlightenment.
Thank you
for being so direct with it, because I need to make an appointment to go see about myself to make sure that what I think may be going on, it may be something else. So
Absolutely.
thank you very much for basically saying what it is that I needed to hear tonight. So instead of me being a procrastinator, I'm going to take care of myself. Thank you very much, Nurse Wallace.
You're welcome. I'm here for you if you need me. Thank you for having me. I definitely appreciate you giving me this platform because I really, really, really feel strongly about this. So.
Amen.
Oh, amen. Definitely got to, get the word out, the message out that we just all have to support each other and just get better.
Yes, and the next time you come back, we want you to share with our listening audience your website and your other credentials so that people can get in touch with you.
Okay, I will do that.
Amen.
But,
so, Dr.
But
Crystal,
in the meantime, she can share with the audience her business number if they need to call or got questions.
Okay, my business number is 586-241-7088. And you can reach me, and my fax number is 586-589-9555. And I definitely will have the website information and everything else when I come back. I will definitely have that totally together for you.
Amen. Thank you. So, Dr. Crystal, once Nurse Wallace posts everything, Dr. Crystal will share it with us, Brush Stroke Sisters, and put it on our webpage.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Absolutely. And we look forward to having you back.
I look forward to coming back. Let me know. I'm ready.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies. This has been a great show. I'm inspired to do better, to eat better, and to pay attention to my body.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much. And we always like to leave the show with a positive quote. So, Nurse Wallace, I'm going to leave this with you. Faith is not believing that God can, but it is knowing that God will. Thank you so much for being our guest tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
More than welcome.
Yes. Have a good evening.
Right, have a good evening.
You too.
Good
All
night.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye.